Hello, welcome to Maverick Live. I am Luke 2. It is Friday, and today we're going to be going down a more traditional route of our marketing. And I've got Dylane with me.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Luke.
Fantastic. So you're heading a lot of the print with Mav Digital. During this global something. Yeah, I'm guessing you've had quite a variety of different work come in.
Yes, it has ranged from, so we do work with private medical as well as a huge number of other industries, but mainly it has been sort of the stores and the training companies and e-commerce that have really been pushing the print through us at the moment.
So when it comes to with flyers and brochures, if everyone's now indoors, I guess a lot of people are turning to digital, but there's still like a lot of value to be left into the traditional means of things.
Well, absolutely. So let's take example for one client. Our one client has moved all their training online, but that training still requires manuals because they need references and revisions because it is a fully affiliated course and there will be exams at the end of it and people need to revise. We are currently printing these manuals for this client, and we are couriering the sets of manuals to each and every delegate. So we've got the logistics involved as well as the manuals because you do still work better with paper where you can make notes.
Yeah, it's some people work way differently because I know I think when Vasco first joined, I was questioning how much paper he was using because he used to print out every sort of thing in emails. He's got a little bit better at that, but I agree that a lot of people learn and work in different ways. So some people need to have I think they talk about kinetic learners where you need to be able to write things down, which is very handy. So with these workbooks, obviously you need to have a lot of understanding of how not just for the print and the design, it's also you take a deep dive into a whole aspect of that client, don't you? So you make sure that what they're saying is you kind of learn as you go, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. This is all to do with the construction industry. So you see a lot of things coming in there that you think, oh, that's really handy, and or you just see all the calculations and think, there's a reason I gave up maths.
It's a little thing. So when people come to you and they've got this idea of, I want to send out a batch of workbooks I need printed out, do they come to you with the files ready, or do sometimes they just come with you with an idea and say, I just got this thing I need created?
Right. For instance, this client, they'll come to us with print-ready files, and then we print the manuals, bind the manuals, and send them out. However, the interesting part about this one is our clients, because they're very green, and all their building theories is based on green technology. So of course how do you ruin a green technology company? You go and print on paper that is sort of
unsustainable,
exactly. So all of their manuals are printed on evolution recycled, and
that's predominantly what you offer, isn't it? A lot of it is pushing towards
all of our paper that we print on is forestry conservation certified, and we're also part of the carbon capture program. So that means that every tree that is taken down for instance, for making paper, another tube will be planted in its place. So we are sustaining forests. We also ensure that all our packaging is also biodegradable, right down to the tape that we use.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that paper and then they've got the prints in front of them, I know a lot of the trouble that can happen is a huge misconception of what is seen on the screen and what is seen on the actual paper in front of you.
Ah, yes, Luke, this is my favorite one. I have had clients phone up and say to me, but this print of mine is purple. And we go, well, yes, that's the color that you have put on, that is in your file. And they said, but on my screen it's blue. And there's a real good reason for this. So I first of all, let's put it this way. Our screens are RGB, which is red, green and blue.
Yeah.
We print CMYK, which is cyan, magenta, yellow and key. So now we've got 3 colors making up the spectrum versus 4 colors making up the spectrum. Your computer monitor is backlit, so obviously colors will be brighter and more dynamic, and it will dull when it goes onto paper. even if you're using a high gloss paper, it's still going to be it's going to be dull. Not saying it won't be vivid, but it's not going to be as bright as that image that you see on the screen. And a lot of clients seem to be disappointed by this. Another issue that comes in is that you can take 25 different monitors and every single monitor will register a color slightly differently. So you never know what you're seeing on the screen is going to be what's going to be the end result.
Yeah.
I mean, I use a Mac computer with my design work, and that has a pretty good rendering of what the color should be.
Yeah.
But it's still not perfect. So what we normally do is when you're designing for print, you use a Pantone chart. You have a Pantone guide next to you so you can see what the printed color will look like once it comes through the press. When you digitally print, the machine will also assess a spot color because it can't print a spot color. So it will break down the values of that color and render a color. So we do test prints, and if we think that the color is slightly off, we test and adjust so it is the closest that it can possibly be, and that's the color that the client has seen, if they've seen, for instance, the Pantone guide. Sometimes when clients send us files, we will do a test print if they require.
Yeah.
We always test print to make sure that there's nothing funny, because sometimes we get sent odd files, and this is the other thing. I don't know if anybody out there's ever had, I sent something to the printer and something was missing. That's normally because when the file goes through a rip, if there is strange anomalies within the file, like for some instance, maybe some text was put into a PDF after the file was kind of saved for being print ready, then that text may not appear on the final file.
There's a lot of issues that can occur when you're trying to just obviously print something out for a certain printer, because obviously there's different formats you get. But all of this is kind of done in-house, sort of with yourself, and in your head you're thinking, okay, I need to change this, and you'll kind of work with the client then to make sure that what they get or what we give you is as closest to what they get on the paper.
Well, absolutely, that's what we do. I mean, there's a number of times that I've printed something and I've got, something's missing.
Yeah,
we're missing that, or a logo's dropped off, or something like that's happened. But that's why we look at the original file and we look at the test print and we say, is everything there?
With your range of experience as well, you can probably just immediately go, this is what I've done.
Well, another thing that people seem to forget to do is put their fonts into curves. It's not necessarily with all fonts, because a lot of the PDF programs will embed the fonts, so it's not an issue. But if somebody's like me, say, gone and got some free font or defont.
Is that defont.com? Is that
defont.com? Yeah, they've gone and got a free font off there and all the rest of it. It might be an open source font, or it's only licensed for personal use, and then they put it into a document. And then when they save that PDF, the font is not embedded. So what happens is Adobe will pick a default font.
Or one that matches it as closely as they can.
Yeah, or sometimes just a default font. You might just have Myriad Pro that'll appear. And then when the document's printed, you'll look at it and go, that's not the right font. And then you realise what has happened. Is
that only after the fact? So does it appear on your screen as as it's sent it over, but as soon as you go through the printing process, now you're stuck with the dreaded Myriad Pro.
That's it. That's exactly what happens. You sometimes only see it at the end.
So in order to get your design obviously print ready, you need the right formatting, and you need to make sure that your fonts are properly embedded, which is something, I guess, it's a big design heavy thing, isn't it? Which is why you help design a lot of the work before it goes out as well.
Yeah. Look, if it's coming from a professional designer, they should know that you can actually check by doing basically a press ready rip before you even send it through to the printers. So you will pick up, you should be able to pick up.
Is press ready prep a program?
No, it's basically the way you save a PDF.
Right, okay.
It's something called a PDF-X. And basically what it does is the PDF-X normally it'll pick up any RGB and switch it to CMYK, and it will throw out any anomalies. So when you look at that PDF-X, that's generally what's going to come out.
Yeah, it'll show you what you get at the end.
So you can also sometimes that way pick up if something's gone missing, or we don't always resave as a PDFX because we think if it's coming from a designer, that is the way that
it was intended to go through.
That's intended, because we don't tend to fiddle client files unless we absolutely have to. Like, for instance, something like that's happened. We'll send it back to the client and say, look, we've done a test print. Send it back to them as a PDFX, because then it'll show the anomalies and what's missing. And say, look, you need to do this, this, and this. Send us a new file, and we'll put the job back onto the press.
So if you want a print which is design ready to go, you may have to make sure you've got all of your box ticked. I'm going to say there's probably a checklist you can find online which tells you a few things that you need to do, but it's probably always worth discussing with any printer you're working with beforehand how it's going to look in the end run before you just decide to push them forward.
But if you say you're a small business, can't afford to go to a professional designer, and you have designed something, my suggestion is design it to size. So if it's A6 or A5 or A4, ensure it's designed to that size. Once it's designed to that size, export it as a JPEG, 300 DPI, no lower, and that will go through the printer fine.
Okay.
It might be, some of the text might be tiny little bit fuzzy, but if it's just a flyer going out to general public, they're not so, not some elaborate, very posh ad campaign, it'll be fit for purpose. And you'll also make sure that you don't have any other funnies happening.
That's the point, isn't it? It's making sure that you've got your prints fit for purpose, so it does what it's going to set out to do.
Well, exactly. And you know what? I mean, we always at Mav Digital, we treat all our clients as individuals and not numbers. So we're happy to offer advice to anybody as well. Because sometimes clients come to us and somebody's told them that they should definitely print it on a certain type of paper stock, and yada yada yada. And you look at it and you go, well, it doesn't need to be that fancy.
Yeah, a lot of rumours get floating around, don't they, of what you need,
or we've got something that will look better and will have a better finish. For instance, a lot of people go, oh, I want foiling on my business card, and then you look at the logo and you go, well, that logo won't look good foiled.
Yeah,
but it'll look lovely with a UV spot. And
so obviously they've seen it before somewhere.
They've seen it before somewhere. And you look online, you go onto Pinterest, you look at lovely cards and various ways of doing things, and and you think, oh, that'll be great. And then you haven't actually looked at what your logo looks like, and does it suit foiling? And also, it's quite a big expense, for a mistake.
Yeah, if you put it out and say, oh, I want 1,000 of these, and then the printer goes and it gives you 1,000 of what you've got, and it hasn't been obviously properly designed or looked at beforehand, and they've got those mistakes in them, then we're stuck then with these cards we don't like.
You're stuck. And unfortunately, a lot of the times the printer gets blamed, but a lot of the time it's actually either the client hasn't got the right advice, or they have just gone a little bit dogmatic and saying, this is what I want and this is how I want it.
It's probably that scene from, I'm going to bring in that scene from American Psycho where we're all comparing cards and we all realise that they're all different shades of white. If it's just going to be there for a brief moment, you don't need to go too expensive for it. You don't need to go, crazy with your, design with it. You just need to make sure it works.
Well, exactly. Is it fit for purpose? Is it what you need? So, for instance, if say, for instance, you're a solicitor, I would say then you might want to maybe go down the sort of more foiled route, or on a really heavyweight GF Smith that costs up to, GF Smith paper. This will knock you back. You can pay £1,500 per 1,000 sheets.
Ooh. Is that like the thickness of this table here? Or
Oh no, that's just for a little thin card.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But it's premium quality paper. But then again, you could have a very simple effect with a paper that costs like a 25th of the cost.
Which isn't made with unicorn tears and the rest of it.
Well, exactly. So, but it just depends. It depends about your industry. It depends what you need it for. I mean, there's something out there for everybody, and all I can say is we're always happy to advise.
Fantastic.
You know, and try and save people money. You know, we're all in it together, isn't that what they say? We're all in it together. Everybody's been hit by COVID. Everybody's, you know, been struggling, and we just hope that when everything gets lifted, we can just help businesses get back on track. You know, without breaking the bank.
Exactly, because there's nothing worse than just trying to, you know, push these pricey products on people when obviously they're going to be now trying to readjust, rebalance, and get themselves out there for you know, as much as they can, whether that's traditional marketing, whether that's digital marketing, or whether that's social selling and new sales. But thank you so much for coming down on this lovely Friday.
Thank you very much.
No problem. If you're looking for more ways to sell and market your business, check out Mav Digital as well. We've got some great designers, some great printers, and they'll be more than happy to help you with your designs. Well, thank you once again, Dylane.
Thank you very much, Luke.
This has been Maverick Live. Have a wonderful weekend.